Hi, my name is Rajinder Uppal, and I had a question about power and power cables. So if somebody has the exact answer to this question, can you please help me out? I purchased these devices from AutoZone and also from Home Depot. And what's really strange is that everything seems to be working fine, and until suddenly weird things started happening. So for instance, I stay here at this house, and I built all of it, but in the back I have power coming in, and it's a 3-prong outlet, right? So from there I plugged into this thing here, and then this was plugged into, like, this end of it first was plugged into that outlet right there, and this one. Okay, so what happened is that, strangely enough, I had somebody give me a heating element first a couple of months ago, like 2 months ago, and the heating element was like a stove, electric stove, if you may. And all of a sudden, one day, it starts making this rattling noise, and this rattling noise followed by this going from orange color to yellow, and then to white color, and then an explosion and fire onto the heating element, where it looks like thermite had melted a part of it off. So then, just a second, the train is loud. Okay, so then comes part 2, which is I had a heater, a portable heater from across the street over there. I picked it up there, and I brought it home, and I plugged it in, and it went boom. Okay, I understand that. Okay, the moment you plug it in for anything, totally fine. But then somebody else had brought me another heater from somewhere, and they gave it to me, and so I plugged it in, the portable heater, at night because it's really cold, and it was working fine for a couple of days. And then all of a sudden, same thing. It had a rattling sound in it all of a sudden, like a nut loose somehow, and that rattling sound followed by explosion, and then it caught on fire too. So that was strange to me. So then, that was not the end of it. Then after that, I noticed that I had a bulb, like a light bulb, plugged into a lamp that I had, and every time I plug in a new light bulb, it would go pop, pop. I'm like, okay, that seemed a little okay. Maybe I understand, plugging it in right away, the problem is apparent. But why does a problem start when it's not there? Then all of a sudden it starts later. So next is that I had purchased a extension cable just like this one. It was orange in color first, from Home Depot, an HDX cable. Same in that thing. I had a light bulb, and I was carrying it around like it doesn't say anywhere that you can't move this thing around. So I had it in my hand, and I got shocked, and the thing exploded. The bulb exploded. So I was like, okay. So then, afterwards, I purchased a replacement cable the next day. I informed Home Depot that, Home Depot staff, your cable caught on fire that you sold me yesterday. Can you please suggest a replacement, and is there a problem with what I did? I explained to them that I bought the cable and the light bulb from you guys, an orange HDX cable, just like this one, and I plugged it into an outlet. It was working fine. Then all of a sudden, hours later, after I come back from work or someplace else, I hold it up and it goes pop. The bulb explodes. Every bulb I put in explodes. So that was weird. And they didn't have an explanation for me. They just said, okay, whatever. So I said, okay. So I bought a replacement cable, which was, instead of the orange one, I bought a black one. The black one had three prongs on it. I guess the grounded version. So since I didn't have a grounded thing over there, I plugged it into the non-grounded outlet. Okay, so it was working fine until that too exploded, and then it got stolen from me. So I was out of electricity and light for a couple of days. So, but then finally I managed to panhandle for some things, and I got this thing, the green cable here. And so I plugged in the green cable, and I noticed weird shit happening again. Like anything plugged into that thing there, all of a sudden started arcing, but then arcing or whatever they call it. But I don't think it is. But these first two plugs right here, when it was plugged in, it was on for like 2-3 hours, no problem. Then all of a sudden, right here, first one and second one, I could see visible fire, like electrical fire, like it going bzz, bzz, left and right like this, inside both of these two right here. And so I stopped it, I unplugged it right away, and then afterwards I said, okay, let me try something else. So I tried the plug that was plugged in here into the outlet over there, and it worked fine. So I thought it was just this thing. But then, weirdly enough, somebody had given me these cables, I think, or I had gotten, I don't know, these cables, the white extension cords with the 3 prongs on them, you know, like the 2 without the grounded outlet, white cable, which has 3 heads on it, 1 in the back, 2 in the side. I had a couple of those, and I had a brown one. I plugged those in, and the moment you start moving the cable just even a tiny bit, like it starts going bzz, bzz, like a static electric charge on it. And so I'm just recording for, it was crashed fine now. And so then after that explosion, I decided to then get a replacement cable here, and the same thing happened. Right here where the orange cable, I had it plugged in, but the real weird part is it worked fine for about half an hour, and then all of a sudden the bulb explodes. What's interesting is that the bulb exploded without the filament being damaged, like this thing. So when the bulb exploded, it had a weird, like, I don't know, like a rap and a crack sound. So I don't know what that means, but the glass went all over the place, and so I was pissed off. And so at the same time, I bought this thing to check for ports and stuff, so I could charge my phone. So I plugged this thing. Remember, this is into a grounded outlet now, right? I grounded it, made sure that that thing was properly thing. And so this thing is plugged into the ground properly. And then this thing right here, I plugged, after the bulb exploded, I took out the light bulb. And before I tried another light bulb, I turned it off, right? And I plugged this in, like just like this. The moment I plugged this in, within 5 seconds or 10 seconds, there was white smoke coming out of this port and this port and this port. And like white smoke, and almost started to melt, like a fire melting kind of sound. So I just plugged that too. So somebody was saying, an opinion was that it's overload. Basically, these devices require a 110 volt or 120 volt charge or whatever, and the source I'm getting it from could be up to 600 watts. So I didn't know what to do, but like I noticed from my troubleshooting that if I unplug the devices directly, anything with a DC converter, like anything with those plugs, like those black plugs, like laptops or cell phone chargers, I plugged them in because they quote unquote, I guess, step down the electricity. They're all working fine, right? Everything plugged into this works fine. But this, now, weird thing is that this and this, my cable starts making erratic sounds. So I notice on the cable that there is a thing right here. I don't know what it means. There's I can get a better angle on this. There. And it's not that the cable is ripped or stretched. It looks like a burn on top of the cable somehow. Like right here. It's like, how do you get a burn on top of the cable? Like it's on top of the, like a paint, but like without it being whatever. I don't know how this burn caused, okay? But I don't know if that's dangerous or not. And then there's last question was this fucking thing. So I don't know what to do. Should I run this cable together? What do I do for power? And is there any bad things involved or foul play or not, or something I just need to be educated with and get something else? Thank Thanks.